Part One-on-One with Mr. Burger.
I think we're just going to hold that off till summer. We're going to roll right into it. I'm too conflicted. I got too much. I feel like I'm overwhelmed at the end of the school year, and I mean, we're not even through April, you know. We're just touching the surface. We got April, we got May, we got a lot of stuff going. I'm planning a wedding.
Yeah, you're planning a wedding.
So I got a lot of irons in the fire.
Yeah, you sure do.
Irons in the fire, irons in the fire. So I think we need to just wait until we're into summer, then we can debate the artist's way. I just don't have the strength for it.
Okay. Well, I would have assumed you would have thought about that before announcing it last week, but if that's what you want to do.
I think we should announce that we're going to do something, but whatever.
Okay. Well, so that will start in or around June. Well, probably not, because we're getting married in June. We'll say mid-June. Somewhere around in there. We'll see. But I don't want to not do that. I want to do that.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not a debate, though. You're saying it's a debate. It's not a debate. This is like just sharing the experience through the weeks as we go, not debating about it.
If you say so.
All right, let's move into Art One-on-One. I am your pod boss, Nicole Jordan, alongside your professional artist and master educator, Mr. Berger.
Alongside. You always look at me. I don't like that you look at me every time you say it. I want you to look at the camera and say it.
Why?
Because I just feel...
Look at you or look at the...
I feel self-conscious about it. I don't know.
When have you ever felt self-conscious?
When you look at me when you're announcing me. I don't know.
Well, we're outside today, so...
We're outside. The birds are going crazy. The sun is descending, so this is going to be a snappy one.
Maybe.
We do have a fire to keep us, well,
but he does not know how to build a fire, I'm going to tell you.
Apparently, I don't know how to build a fire.
All right, so the first segment we're going to move into is brushstrokes or bluffs. Brushstrokes or bluffs is when I say something that could be truth or could be false. Could be true or false. He has to decide whether it's true or false, and then I give him whether he's right or not. And I don't know, what have you been, 50-50 lately?
Yeah, pretty 50-50.
For a long time, after World War II, there were many newly discovered Vermeer paintings that were coming about.
Yes.
These masterpieces, like the experts were raving about them. They were these amazing pieces.
And you know what? They were all fakes.
I was wondering if you would know that one right away.
Boom.
Do you know the story about how they found out they were fakes?
Yes.
What's the story?
During World War II?
Yes. After World War II.
Well, during World War II, there were fakes coming out as well. Those fakes that were coming out during World War II were created because there was a certain dictator who lived in Germany, and, he was a big fan of Vermeer. He wanted to own all of the Vermeers, and so it was thought if there became more Vermeers, then there would be more money in the Vermeers. So that's a big part of it. But then I can't think of the guy's name. It started with an M, I believe. Help me with his
Marshall?
name. What was his name?
Marshall Herman Goring or Van Meegeren?
Van Meegeren. Van Meegeren was the guy that was creating the copies. Goring was an SS guy.
Yes.
And he was a collector, but as was the other fella who will remain nameless because he's a piece of trash in my view. But
Van Meegeren, is that how you say it?
I believe so.
So he was actually painting these copies.
Correct.
And then selling them as if
they were authentic.
And then he got caught, and they were going to hang him. Because of why? Why were they? That's the only part I really didn't understand.
I don't remember.
To avoid a death sentence for treason, Van Meegeren confessed that he himself had painted the Vermeers.
And that could be. I don't recall all of the punishments and all of the ins and the outs. I just know that there was a guy famous for creating Vermeer fakes.
Yeah.
You couldn't even get the whole thing out, and I knew that it was a bluff.
And the reason why I loved it, like, this was one of the first bluffs that I got when, like, usually I go on AI and it takes me a while to find a bluff that I would like, okay?
Yeah.
But this one came up right away, and I was like, oh, this is a cool story. In part because of kind of what's going on with the artwork that's just coming out that they think is a real piece of art by who?
Are you talking about the Van Gogh?
Yes. So these experts right now are looking at this painting and, observing it and testing it all ways. And really, do they really know? Because art experts were looking at these Vermeer paintings and they were, the real thing. No one was questioning. So my question is, like, how accurate are they really? Or how accurate can they really be?
Well, I think that
is it just a thing?
I mean, there's a lot of science and research and whatnot that goes into it, I'm certain. I don't know all the ins and the outs of the scientificness of it all, but what I can tell you is, it takes a lot to authenticate a work of art now. This isn't 1930s, right? This isn't 1940s. This is, science and the x-rays and the things that they can do to paintings to see not just what's on the surface, but behind layers and layers of paint and exposing each layer of work as it's laid on and knowing exactly how the artist made it, not just that they made it. For example, there is a very famous painting by Mary Cassatt, and we can determine, and I say we as though I had anything to do with it, but scientists, researchers, historians can determine the fact that not only was she helped on the painting, there was a part of it that she didn't paint, but it was painted by Degas by looking at how he did brushstrokes, looking at this particular section of the painting. It's a painting of a little girl sitting in a chair. I can't think of the exact title of it. I did a video on it. I might post that below, or link it. Something will happen. Anyway, you can go into the description and look at it too if you're on the YouTube. Anyway, the fact of the matter is that through analysis, you can determine who painted it, how they painted it, the process at which they painted it, not just that it was painted by another person, but try to exactly pinpoint who did it based upon the evidence and the time and when it was painted and all of those variables.
So you're saying the process nowadays is much more
sophisticated.
There you go.
Than it had been decades ago.
That's an interesting story. How many of these paintings came out before they actually realized they were not?
I don't remember the number, but I believe it was a significant number. I mean, like in the 10 or so.
Which is,
but I don't know. I could be wrong.
This guy is saying that he's like, he should have been more recognized as an artist, and that's kind of why he started doing this, and people, were thinking it was a Vermeer painting, so that kind of backed him up. But if you're just copying a painting, is that truly?
I mean, it definitely takes a skill. There are certainly people that are good at it, that create copies of paintings, to get the technique and the brushwork and the layering and all of those things that a master would do, even though you're simply copying. I've copied works, not to put on the market as though it was a Van Gogh original, but I've copied a Van Gogh, and in copying a Van Gogh, if you were to zoom in and look at every single brush stroke and get everything exactly the way that it was, like Van Gogh did, I mean, I kind of fudge it, it's like, it's good enough, where like a true perfectionist at creating these copies. Like there are folks that sit in the galleries, like the Louvre or name a museum. People sit in there and they'll do. The museum will allow people, students and whatnot, professionals to go in there and do copies of artworks. They have like certain certifications or whatnot to be able to do that. But whatever. The point is that those people they're other level.
Yeah. So he truly was probably a very skilled artist and maybe didn't get the recognition he deserved. But that's just where, that actually is going to take us into the art talk card, because it can, more so now, we've talked about than in the past, but it just takes one thing. One thing to get you famous. Like one piece of art, one story, one whatever. And so it could be that simple.
I'm just waiting for that one viral video. The one viral podcast to just blow up, and then I'm set, sweetie.
Okay, well, I'm going to read the art talk card because this fits perfectly into. Andy Warhol was an American painter, film director, and publisher who led a movement called pop art. Warhol's art was based on images from popular culture like Campbell's soup cans and celebrities like Marilyn Monroe. He once said, "The day will come when everyone will be famous for 15 minutes. How would you, or how do you think you will earn your 15 minutes of fame?"
The podcast, the YouTube channel, the TikTok nation, the social media empire.
Have you ever thought about that? Like what you would do, or what you would, like a topic or a piece of art, or like what you could do that would make you famous? Like what's your superpower when it comes to that?
I've never told you about my dream.
Oh, kind of. Yeah. Have you ever told your audience about your dream?
Yeah, it's in my Salvador Dali. I did a video on Salvador Dali, and it's in the video on Salvador Dali.
So can you give us a brief version of that?
I can tell you the whole thing. So basically the story is I had this dream years and years ago where I was in Spain. I was walking around. I was escorted up this staircase because Salvador Dali wanted to meet me. And he was on his deathbed. I walk up the stairs, go to his bedside. There's this big drapery over the thing. And Salvador Dali asked me to come down. And he says, "Mr. Berger, you have great potential. You could be the greatest artist of your generation. There's just one thing you have to do." And I lean down, I get closer to him, and I'm listening intently. And he tells me, and I can't remember that part of the dream. I can't remember what he told me to do.
You're supposed to keep like a little notebook beside your bed to write things like that down, right? When things come into your dream, because you always say you'll remember them.
Salvador Dali told me how to be a great artist, and I messed it up.
Well, why don't you ask Salvador Dali to come back into your dreams and tell you again?
He won't.
Why?
Because he told me once.
What do you think it is?
I don't know. I'm not going to speculate.
So you don't think it's you creating a certain piece of art,
I don't know.
You think it's creating a video maybe that will just...
I don't know. I think that's my best hope.
I think maybe the artist's way was going to lead you down the path of what would be it for you.
Maybe.
I think it will.
Stranger things have happened.
I think you'll be surprised.
I won't, but we'll see.
That's a sad dream. You should you've got books all by your bed. Just get up and write it down.
This was years and years and years ago.
No. Okay.
This was like when this is probably 25 years ago when this dream happened.
Interesting.
And I did an artwork of it too. I did an artwork of me standing on the bedside of Salvador Dali as he's telling me the dream. Never finished the drawing.
Why? Where's it? Like, is it around?
Yeah.
Like in your stuff?
Yeah. You know me. I don't throw things away.
Really? Maybe you should finish the piece of art. Maybe he's waiting for you to finish the piece of art before he comes back into your dream.
Maybe.
Interesting. I don't know how I'd like to earn my 15 minutes of fame. I don't know that I want to be a famous person.
Eat, pray, love.
Well, I would love to do that.
But I guess there's always those 15 minutes of fame things, like, whether you want to be famous or not famous or whatever. I mean, it's there are, like, kindergartners think that I'm famous because
you have a YouTube channel.
Because 100 people know who I am. The internet knows I'm not famous, although AI also does think that I'm America's favorite art teacher. Go figure. I mean, it's like it's this yin yang, this pulling back and forth. You never know. Anyway.
I think you should journal on that.
Journal it.
What's going to bring you your 15 minutes of fame?
Yeah, I'll dive deep into my subconscious to unlock.
Clear out your blocks.
Unlock the mystery.
Well, since you can't think of anything for your 15 minutes of art, you can't even just, like, come up with something, like an idea.
I did. I came up with 2 ideas. I said the podcast or my YouTube channel.
But what within that?
Or TikTok or some other social media thing.
What within that? Like a
Who
piece
knows?
of art, a place you go.
It could be anything. I don't. It would probably be some. Knowing me, it'll be some random ass video that I don't even understand how people find videos. I don't even understand how people find my videos. Like, a video that I made 5 years ago will all of a sudden explode, and hundreds of people will be watching it for no apparent reason, just out of the blue. Like 100 people watching. I can't even think of which one was blown up the other day. Can't even think of it. Not the point. The point is that just out of the blue, there was one on Klaus Oldenburg I did like 2 or 3 years ago, and it was just all of a sudden blowing up. There's one on Pizarro. The one on Pizarro, I don't even understand how people find it, why they keep watching it, but every single month, it's like hundreds and hundreds of people every month watch that video. Like thousands of people from around the world have watched that video, have no idea why. I mean, it's not like I did it any different. It's not like I did it any special. Although, like, I did a video on Joseph Cornell and the assemblage artist about a month ago, 2 weeks, a month ago, something like that. And everybody's all the comments are, your video's a pile of dog shit. This is the worst video. It's got the worst audio. I couldn't even watch this thing for 2 minutes. It sounds like shit. And then it's like, and then another person's like, this is the greatest video. I didn't know this was out. I'm a subscriber. So it's like, okay, well, like, one person subscribed because of the video, and a lot of people are pissed off because they don't like the way it sounds. It's one of those things where, like, I'm like, gosh, is the audio really that bad? And it's not great, but it's not like it's not the worst video I've made.
Yeah, we've had one here a month or two ago that was terrible.
Bad ones. But there again, it's like, this is a hobby. Like, right. I'm just getting information out. Like, I'm not a professional. Like, I'm a one-person team. I film, I edit, I make the clips, I do everything front to back.
Yeah. It's
all me all the time. I wish that I had help, but I don't.
It's all me. I have my own podcast to
it's all
edit.
Me. And so because it's all me, then it is what you get.
Sometimes the audio is going to be shit.
You get what you get, and if you really want to help me with audio, with video, or anything, please donate your time. I'm not paying you. Come on in, become a part of the team, or get the hell out of here. Well, I shouldn't say that. You come around and watch. I don't care. Because at the end of the day, even though it's negative comments...
It's comments.
It's comments.
It's interaction.
And it's clicks.
Right.
So you might not like it, but at least you're commenting and at least you're clicking. You're going to help me in the algorithm, even if it's not so nice.
Well, clicking on your videos from this past week, Chris Burden is going to be one of your artists that you talk about. He has a birthday on April 11th.
He does. Yep. Coming up on April the 11th, Chris Burden has a birthday. And Chris Burden, again, I've done a video on him.
Yeah, it was a good video. He's an interesting cat, though. I mean,
he's a conceptual artist. And I think that's one of the things that a lot of times people struggle with. The idea that art can be ideas, and it's not always ideas that you're going to get. And when you're really outside the box, and Chris Burden's ideas are really outside the box,
yes,
especially when he was young. And the thing is, as he got older, he recognized that he wasn't
invincible.
Well, and he was also getting the wrong kind of attention. Like, people were giving him attention because he was doing crazy shit. But I don't think he wanted attention because he was doing crazy.
Yeah.
He wanted attention because he was making something profound. He was making people think. And that's really what he wanted. I believe that's really what he wanted. And he was just evolving with the times, so he believed.
Well, because he started out as a performance artist.
Correct.
But then moved into
more sculptural, like kinetic works, different avenues.
Using energy, yeah, he
did like a series of light poles that would they click on when like light poles do, and again, it doesn't seem like, well, so what, he put up a bunch of light poles with lights on it, but that was his work.
Well, and he's one of those that said art really can be anything, which his art is definitely the definition of that, because he's
doing all kinds of extreme things.
Well, and who's the female artist that is very similar to him that we just talked about? And she was thought of as very weird and got bad criticism.
The one with the documentary.
Yes.
Marina.
Oh yeah,
Abramovich.
Yes. So when I was reading about Chris Burden, I was like, oh, he's like the male version of.
Granted, Chris Burden is way older than her, and so she would have followed his lead as opposed to him following her lead. Not the point. But
you had to correct me.
I did because I owe it to the viewers to give
accurate
information.
Yes, but I think those two are very similar, and I think their definition of art is very similar, and that is where I struggle. I mean, I struggle with this. Like, what is what's art? What's not art? Where do you draw the line? And you have a very broad definition of art.
Well, I think the definitions of art are broad. I think that most things in the way I approach it is anything in an art gallery I'm going to accept as art. It might not be my favorite art, but I'm going to accept it as art. And I think that it's important to be able to discuss it, to be able to look at it from different perspectives. And some of it I get, some of it I don't. Some of it I appreciate, some of it I appreciate less. But I think we all have the ability to create our own personal definition of what we like, what we don't like, and to be able to express that is important.
Well, I still think, like, him sitting in a locker for 5 days, not art to me. How is that art? That maybe shows, like, perseverance and something about your mental toughness, but that to me is not art. But that's part of what his artwork is, and people accept that, I guess.
Well, and again, it's the evidence of it. Now, that's a work that he did in college. How that's assessed, I don't know. How it was assessed, I don't know. But it's notorious. It's famous in the art world as wow, this guy locked himself in a locker for multiple days and pooped in a bucket. Like, he was stuck in there.
Yeah.
I don't know that he had anything except he was in a locker. And there are several instances, I should say, where he did very extreme things. And I think that he got kind of a bad reputation for doing extreme things, and ultimately he walked away from doing extreme things because he didn't want to be labeled as like just the kind of a wild card doing crazy stuff. He wanted to be known for the messaging or whatever it was behind the particular work.
And at that point he was famous because of the kind of the crazy things he did, so that kind of carried on into that second phase where he was doing more I don't know, more sciencey stuff, I guess, like really, or action. What is it called?
Well, he did kinetic things. He did, like with motion and movement. He did different, putting like all the cars and the different. He had a piece where it's like all these cars, and they would just kind of go through this whole zip line thing, and it just like just the kinetic energy of it just kept it going forever.
Interesting.
He balanced I think he took a Porsche or something, and he put it on a cantilever with a meteorite, and he balanced them out.
That's cool.
Kind of a weird piece, but again, I think he's talking about like the forces of nature versus man-made forces, and making it making something profound out of something just other objects, and I think that's an art form.
Well, that feels like art to me, but not sitting in a locker for 5 days. Like that just doesn't...
Judgy.
Yeah, well, apparently I shouldn't be one of the art, what are those called?
Gurus.
No.
You're not.
Yeah.
You're not an art guru.
Well, yeah, I would agree with that. All right, well, thanks everyone for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, do all the things that help to support the podcast and keep it growing. We really appreciate it, and we'll see you next time.
There's no other way for me to become 15-minute famous.